Hello, this is Beatrice, and I am going to do a video reviewing the class that we had today, August 2, 2011. I'm going to start by reviewing highlighting of columns and rows. If we want to highlight just one column, we take the mouse and move it to the top. When the cursor changes to a black arrow that's pointing down, we do one click. That highlights just one column. Now let's say that I want to highlight columns A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. I start the same way. I highlight just the first one. Then I go to the keyboard and press Shift, and then I go to column H. When my cursor changes to a black arrow, I click H, and that highlights everything in column A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Okay? The same with rows. If I want to highlight rows 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I start with the first one, 4. I move my cursor until it's on top of 4, and the cursor changes to a black arrow. Click on 4, shift or press the shift key, and then go to 8 and click A. So that highlights everything that I want from 4 to 8. Now let's say that I want to highlight rows 2 and rows 4 and rows 6 and rows 8. I will start the same way with the first row that I want, but instead of clicking shift, instead of pressing shift, I'm going to press control. So first I highlight the first one, press control on the keyboard, and then click 4, click 6, and click 8, and that highlights those 4 rows that are not together, and that's why I have to use control instead of shift. I can do the same thing with the column. If I want to highlight A, C, E, and G, I do the same thing. Start with A, press control, click on C, click on E, click on G. That highlights those 4 columns for me. And I can do the same thing with cells. I can do A2, A5, A8, D1, whatever I want. I can do it with the control instead of the shift key on the keyboard. Okay, now to be able to change the width of a column, okay, you highlight it. Some of you have found out that you don't have to highlight it, and that's okay. Either way it's fine, but I'm going to teach you to highlight it, and then when the cursor changes to a cross, you move it either to the right to make it wider or to the left to make it narrower. Okay, so wider or narrower. Same with the row. I highlight the row. If I want to make 2 a little taller, I wait for my cursor to change to a cross and then make it nice and tall. Okay, so that's one way that you can resize the rows and the columns. Now if we want to insert another column, we highlight the column to the right of the column that we want to insert. So I want to insert the column that comes after B and before C. Highlight C, right click, insert. So that's one way. Let's say I want to insert another one. Right click, insert, that's it. Notice that right away the new column it becomes C and the others move D, E. Another way that we talked about in class is you highlight whichever one you want, and then go to the home tab, the cells group, insert command, and then say that I want to insert columns. Okay, exactly the same with rows. Either highlight, right click, insert, or highlight, insert rows. Same thing. Okay, so that's for inserting columns and rows and changing the height and changing the width. To delete is the same thing. Right click, delete, or highlight, delete the column. So you have two places, either the right clicking with the mouse or going to the home tab, the cells group, and deleting. Now, when we did the percent today, I'm going to open one of your documents. Let's see, just so I don't have to type the whole thing all over again. And let's see, I'm going to take Lucrezia's. Let's see, Lucrezia, here's your spreadsheet. Okay. Oh, what happened, Lucrezia? Where's your stuff? Okay, we'll have to deal with this tomorrow. Let's look at something else. Let's look at somebody else's. Let's see. Maria. Okay, here it is, Maria. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this into my own, that way I don't mess with Maria's oh, where is everything? Where is my, okay, I think I'm gonna have to open another one. Okay, so let's see if I can paste everything that I just copied from Maria here. Oh, it's not gonna let me, so I think I'm just gonna work with Maria's. Okay, here it is. Okay, so we talked about inserting, deleting, changing the height, changing the width. Now we're going to review this percent column. Okay, now before I even review that, I'm going to do a little bit of a math review. Okay, when we talk about math, okay, and this document is in your folder, in the extra resources folder. When we talked about writing a fraction, I'm going to be referring to the top number as the numerator, because that's what it's called, and the bottom number as the denominator, because that's what it's called. So for instance, if we write 1 over 2, 1 is the numerator, 2 is the denominator. If we use a calculator to get the answer of 1 divided by 2, we put the 1 first, then press the division sign, then put 2, then press the equal sign, and the calculator gives us a result of 0.5. That's still not a fraction, that's just a decimal. We convert to that's not a percentage, it's a decimal. So if we want to convert that decimal to a percentage, we multiply by 100, and that gives us 50%. Now in Excel, when we format a cell or a column as percent, Excel automatically does the last step. This means that we don't have to put the multiplication by 100 in our formulas. Excel will do it automatically. What Excel does is that it takes the result we get from dividing the numerator, the top number, into the denominator, the bottom number, multiplies it by 100, and places the percent sign in front. So one way that you might be able to remember how to create this percent formula, it could be that it helps you to think of the information you want Excel to calculate this way. the numerator here will be a question that you ask yourself. What is the percent that mortgage or insurance or savings or entertainment or anything, whatever the expense is, what is the percent that that expense is of my total income? So my total income is the denominator, because I want to find out what percentage mortgage is of it. So mortgage is my numerator. I hope this helped. It's definitely a document, a Word document in the folder that you can open and you can review. So back to Excel. So what we do is, here's the mortgage. This is the numerator. Here's the total income, is the denominator. So I'm going to, Maria, I'm going to delete your formula so I can show everyone how this is done. Okay, very easy. We'll get it back. Okay, so I have to put the equal sign first every time. Equal sign. And then the numerator goes first, but we don't write 1200. We click the cell where the 1200 is, so that's B6. Then we go on the keyboard and use the division sign, which is a slash, and then put the denominator, which is the total income. Okay, and then press enter. That gives us 26%. Now we want to make sure that when we copy this down, we get the correct answer. Right now this is not the correct answer, because the denominator should always be B5, and here's B6, here's B7, here's B8, so that's incorrect. The way to fix it is to make sure that what we do is we are looking at the formula, we double click the cell to be able to edit it, then we click inside the B5, then we press the key on the keyboard that is labeled F as in Frank, F4, and then we press enter. Now that means that when we copy this formula down, and the way we copy is that we first make the cell active, we wait for the mouse to come to the corner, the bottom right corner, and then we click and we drag the mouse down, and that's how we copy the formula down all the way to the end. Now if we look at the denominator here, is B5, 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 and so on all the way to the end, B5. So what this is called, is actually a term that you do have to learn, is that once we put these dollar signs here to make sure that the next formula refers to that B5 all the time, we call this and I'm going to write it here for you, an absolute cell reference. Absolute cell reference. So you have to know that terminology. When we make it like with the dollar sign, so the rest of the formulas are always referring to this same cell, we call that an absolute cell reference. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and then I'll see if I can do another one tonight that shows you how to do the chart. You're doing a good job, so stay positive. Good night.